Flying high amid its dangers, the story of Daedalus and Icarus. Daedalus and Icarus. In this myth, we learn about Daedalus and Icarus, the legendary father-son team who were the first to test out human flight with homemade wings. Daedalus, the great inventor and caring father, hadn't been so caring, word of all heroes out there. Once a man named Daedalus lived in Athens. The Greek Cubes protected her as Athena, the goddess of wisdom. One day, Daedalus was making a statue of Athena, and the goddess liked it so much she decided to give him special powers. Thanks to her, he became Athens' top inventor and builder. Everyone around discovered his unique gadgets and ability to solve problems that baffled people for years. Even Aegeus, the king of Athens at the time, counted on Daedalus for advice about new buildings and special projects. But it wasn't enough for Daedalus to be the greatest inventor in Athens. He wanted to be the only inventor in Athens. He couldn't stand anyone else getting recognition. The great inventor even became worried that his own nephews, his apprentice, would steal some of his glory. Scene 1. The Fall. In Athens, Daedalus' reputation as a wise man and clever inventor was growing. He soaked up praise from others, especially his family members.
Who would have thought it? I hate to admit it, but after all those fights we had as kids, my older brother is a genius.
Sister, you look like you ate something that didn't agree with you.
No, but it's not my lunch. I was just thinking about how brother always spoiled you. And then at the end of him was sharpened or bent like a pencil. Some people get all the luck.
Now don't get upset because I'm famous and you're not. My ideas will help the whole city. And if I can ever do you a favor, please let me know.
I was hoping you'd say that, but I started Daedalus. Loves to build things all over the house. He built a doghouse that's so comfortable the dog refuses to get out. And he built a mousetrap that's so attractive. Boys have been lining up to try it out. Please take him as your apprentice. Teach him something useful and keep him out of my hair.
I don't really need anyone right now.
He'll work free. You must need someone to clean up around here. Someone to take out the garbage. Surely Athena didn't give you a special talent for that.
Alright. Having a kid around like him will allow me more time for my important work. He starts tomorrow. But he must remember that I'm very busy with very important people. So he needs to stay out of my way.
So, Daedalus, a youth about 12 years old, came to stay with his uncle Daedalus. First, he quietly went about his chores in the baker's shop. He cleaned up the tools, washed all the dishes, and took out the rubbish.
One day, an Athenian came to the shop to ask for Daedalus' help.
I need something that can cut through wood quickly and neatly. Chopping with an axe is too messy and takes too long. Can you help?
Maybe if you use a bigger axe or a spear. Let me think about it. Come back in a day or two and I'll have something for you.
When the man left, Daedalus spoke up.
Uncle, look at this drawing I've made. It is a plan for a tool I call a saw. It can cut through wood more easily than an axe.
How does it work?
See these sharp parts here that look like teeth? They cut right through the wood when you move the teeth back and forth across the wood. I got the idea one day when I was taking out the garbage. I saw a fish skeleton and it made me think.
Shh! Didn't I tell you not to disturb my thinking? Give me that silly drawing and go back to your chores.
But Daedalus didn't throw away that silly drawing. He used Daedalus' idea made a saw of metal, and he brought it to the carpenter.
How did you think of this saw? You really are a genius.
Oh, it just came to me one night as I was taking out the garbage.
Daedalus took all the credit, and Daedalus was discouraged. He felt that someday his uncle would recognize his talent.
Uncle, look what I've made. I call it a compass. You can use it to draw perfect diagrams and measure things exactly.
Give me that and stop fooling around. You've got work to do. I've got to do something about this boy before I become the second best inventor in Athens.
That night, Daedalus couldn't go to sleep. He was so angry and jealous. Finally, he thought of a plan that made him feel better. He jumped out of bed and rushed over to Daedalus' room.
Daedalus, I was too harsh with you today. Forgive me. Come with me now, though. I could use your help on a project right now. It is very important on top of Athena's temple. I could use your advice.
Wow, that would be great. But way up there in the middle of the night when it's so dark?
This shouldn't take long.
When they got to the temple, Daedalus carried out his evil plot.
I've been asked to build a statue for that side of the temple. Lean over it and tell me if you think it's possible.
Wow, the show looks dangerous. What if you say so?
As Daedalus leaned over, Daedalus gave him a swift push, which sent the youth hurtling over the paving stones. Before he hit the ground, he began to flap his arms, which miraculously began to send him flying.
You see, Athena had watched the plot unfold and stepped in. In a flash, she turned Daedalus into a bird, a partridge to be exact, and so spared his life. Then she had a few words with her former favorite.
You are a sick man, Daedalus. I'm tempted to take back all the powers I've given you, but I won't. Instead, I'm going to banish you from Athens. You must wander throughout the world praying that someone will take you in. Fate will have other punishments in store for you.
Scene 2. The Rise of the Daedalus. Daedalus started travel, started from country to country, until he came to the island of Crete, where the evil king Minos was looking for a great adventure. Daedalus was hired on the spot and soon settled down, married and had a son. The boy's name was Icarus, and Daedalus loved him very, very much.
Now, after years of working for Minos, Daedalus was given the job of designing the labyrinth, which would house Minos' meanest pet, the Minotaur. For those of you who don't know, the labyrinth is a maze, and the Minotaur was a powerful creature that was killed by an Athenian named Theseus. But when Theseus escaped the labyrinth, taking Minos' daughter Ariadne with him, someone was going to have to take the heat from Minos. That person was Daedalus.
Guards, bring the inventor to me.
The palace guards brought in Daedalus, his hands bound behind him. A few steps behind the inventor, also bound, was his son, Icarus.
What should I do for you? Theseus killed my daughter and escaped her letter. Only you can help us do that. King Icarus forced to escape with your Ariadne.
Should we execute the Your Highness?
No, I just offer more fit punishment. Take the inventor and his son to the center of the maze, and leave him there without food or war. We'll let the inventor be trapped by the invitation.
Daedalus' face became a mask of terror. When he had built the labyrinth, even he got lost without his master plans.
I have only one request, Your Highness. My son is a brave guard. Can you please have a supply of candles so his last hours will be a little less frightening?
Very well, have your candles. That way you'll be able to see each other's spell.
Scene 3, in the maze. Daedalus and Icarus were blindfolded, brought to the center of the maze, and set free. The guards retraced their steps, keeping the inventor and his son in their place by threatening them with arrows and spears.
Father, what will we do? I'm already hungry. You must give me some way out of this.
I'm thinking as fast as I can, son, but even if we escape from this maze, the king Minos' army will catch us. If we make it to the sea, the king's navy will capture our ship before we're a mile from shore.
Daedalus stayed awake all night. He had just about given up hope when the chirping of birds signaled the sun was about to rise.
You'd have to be a bird to escape from Minos. That's it, my sons, wake up, we have work to do.
What, Father, have you gone crazy?
Just listen to me. Remember those bird calls I taught you? Use them now. Call out as many birds as you can. Quickly! Icarus made the sounds that imitated the calls of blackbirds, seagulls, and other birds. Hearing the calls, the birds swooped down toward the inventor and his son in the center of the maze. The two quickly snatched as many feathers as they could. The lucky birds only lost a few feathers each. Now, using the wax from the candle to hold the feathers like this.
Father, please tell me what you're making.
I'm making wings. With these feathers and wax, I'm making wings that will carry us out of this maze and away from this island. Minos may control the land and the sea, but he doesn't rule the sky. We'll fly away.
In just a day, Daedalus had made a set of wings for himself and his son. They practiced with the wings until they knew they could fly.
Before we go, pay attention to my words. Stay close behind me. Do you hear? Don't fly too low, or the spray from the sea will wet your wings and pull you down. Don't fly too high, either. If you fly too close to the sun, the wax holding your wings together will melt and you'll fall into the sea.
Father, I promise I'll obey you.
The two set out at the break of day. They flew over the walls of the labyrinth and over Minos' kingdom. The people below did not know what to think of the early morning sky. That's the strangest pair of birds I've ever seen. I bet they're back to sleep.
Once they were away from Minos' island, Daedalus and Icarus whooped and shouted.
We're free as birds! Just remember what I said. Be careful.
It feels great to fly, glide, soar,
and soared as high as he could. He felt the rays of the sun warm his body. He let the currents of air take him even higher. Sometimes it was time to take a swimmer deeper and deeper.
I'll catch up with my father in a second after being that cold lavender. It's great to be flying. The sun feels so good.
But something began to go terribly wrong. Icarus's wings began to get heavier and heavier. He felt melting wax on his arms. He turned to see what was happening and he saw a feather fall to the sea below. He now remembered what his father had said.
Oh no, Father, help me!
But the boy was too far behind and his voice could not reach his father's ears.
Soon, hundreds of feathers were falling from Icarus's wings. He was dropping fast to the blue sea below. He waved his arms frantically, but it did no good.
Flying ahead, Daedalus was lost in thought.
Now, if I could build wings for an entire army, that would be something. We could fly back to Crete and surprise Minos. I could be king. Icarus, how long do you think it would take me to?
As he turned around, he saw he was alone in the beautiful cloudless sky. His heart pounded as he circled back. Then what he feared most had come true. Icarus had disappeared.
Daedalus flew to the nearest island and convinced the fishermen there to bring back his son. They were unable to do so. Icarus was gone.
As he said goodbye to his son, Daedalus noticed a bird sitting on a tree. It was a partridge, the same type of bird his nephew Talus had become when he pushed him off the top of the temple of Athena so many years before. He now realized how wrong and cruel that plan had been, now that his own son's life had been taken.
For the rest of his days, it is said that Daedalus lived quietly on the island of Sicily, making toys for the children there. He could have easily won fame and fortune if he built on his flying ideas, but the disappearance of his son had caused him to hang up his wings and his desire for fame forever. The end.